You want to talk about the Boeing birds and the danger associated with flying Boeing? Flying on these Boeing planes?
Bro, I don't know. I don't know if... I'm not sure. Are we ready to let the people know? Everybody's getting ready. What time? What's today's date?
You're going to expose the truth about Boeing?
Nah, I think the world already knows about Boeing. I think that's the problem. Like, the cat's out of the bag because of a whistleblower. Mr. John Bennett.
Is that the whistleblower?
Yeah. He's, let's see. So, all right. So we'll get into this story because this is a pretty serious story if you're a person that travels. I mean, you travel a lot.
That was my thing. You know? And I'm going to give my perspective. I'll let you, what up, Saif? I'll let you, you do, tell us what you got, and then I'll give you like my
Barnett, excuse me. John Barnett. But go ahead. Yeah, so, all right. So long story short, if you have not been following the Boeing story, which is a company that produces airplanes, like commercial airliners and stuff like that, they have been under fire recently because they're, number one, everybody has a video camera in their pocket. Mm-hmm. So people are starting to record weird things that are occurring mid-flight, turbulence, malfunctions of equipment. And it's been found that because of this whistleblower, this man, John Barnett, he came out and exposed some things about the issues with safety regulations and proper production protocol during the process of making these planes. And it's certain planes. I don't want everybody to be scared. It's not all planes. It's certain planes. It's that 737 MAX seems to be the issue. And there's also issues with the 787, some models there. But so there are specific models of these planes that are having issues. And because of the whistleblower, we know what those issues are attributed to. So they've been cutting corners, allegedly, during the process. They've been noted to use dish soap as lubricant to put parts into things and stuff like that. They found to be using credit cards to check the seals on doors to see if like the door
That's
is
how
sealed.
they check intolerances?
They're using credit cards and stuff. Uh-huh. And what was crazy was a journalist went undercover into a Boeing production plant. So he went in and he was asking staff members that worked there, that put the planes together, if they would fly on these planes. And all of them were like, hell no. Saying crazy things like, hell no. Maybe if you got a death wish, if you're trying to die, you can ride on this.
Where are they building these planes? What
this particular place was South Carolina.
Okay.
So there's that. And then there were also other issues. If anybody saw any of the viral videos that were all across the internet.
The door flying off?
Yeah, exactly. In 2024, the door plug failed, causing the door to open mid-flight. And then when they investigated, they found that allegedly 4 bolts were missing from the door that had not been put in. So, and then when they went to investigate, Boeing is saying they accidentally overrided the security footage of the plant during repairs to that door. So they're saying
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so they're saying that they can't find the footage, that it's been overwritten. So they're having trouble now to, kind of proving if there was anything going on. So another thing that was crazy was with the 737 MAX, a former manager, he was a senior manager of this particular form of plane, the 737, like production of that program, right? He used to work there. So back in March, he got off the plane when he found out it was a 737 MAX. It was supposed to be a different plane, and he intentionally booked the flight with a different plane. But then when he got on the plane, he found out through reading like the aircraft information that's in the seat in front of you that they ended up having to switch the planes out for whatever reason. So this one was replaced with a 737 MAX. This guy gets off the plane. He's a senior manager that used to oversee production and safety in this particular program.
So he knows that when he was there, he was performing poorly, and as a result, these poorly performing machines came out of this place.
Well, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't say that because, but that's a good point because that's a good question.
He's a manager there.
Exactly. So, so it reflects on the manager.
Yeah, of course.
So I would think that people watching this would probably have a similar, a similar thought process. So what he says is that he had brought this to administration previously about the unsafe production environment and corners were being cut. And he recommended shutting down the program and he was ignored. They said no. So he ended up eventually leaving, and now he's the executive director of the Foundation for Aviation Safety, which is a not-for-profit company that he oversees that kind of investigates this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And helps out and educates.
I think that, so who's the governing agency that oversees like the production of aircrafts and like make sure, is it the FAA? Are they the guys that
I think so, yes.
Okay.
They found multiple deficiencies once he was a whistleblower on this. They found a multitude, over a dozen.
Okay.
Over a dozen issues, allegedly.
Yeah. I mean, and when you look for things, you're going to find them, right?
Yeah, of course. But these are the kind of things that as a traveler, I don't want to hear.
Oh,
that people are cutting
1,000%.
corners and producing the aircraft I'm going to fly in. It's a little different. I'd rather you cut the corners on the wheels on my car, you know what I'm saying, than cut it on the length of the wings of a plane or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. While I do believe, because when I first started reading all the Boeing stuff, I'm like, oh, this is exactly what happens with a lot of these like stories, right? We end up getting like a little just a little string of fabric, and then they start tugging at it, and more starts coming out, right? Because it's just like when you're looking for stuff, you're gonna find stuff. And I said to myself, I was like, well, you know what? I don't know if anybody's died yet because of these, and they're not falling out of the skies, and they probably have had significantly more successful flights than flights with issues. But now that I'm hearing they're using soap as lubricant, I don't know if I feel that way anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that also is a good point. I mean, they did have a deadly crash in 2018 and another one in 2019.
They did? Okay, I was not aware of that.
Yeah, two. And they've had multiple emergency landings.
And they're related, but were those deadly crashes, were they related to like failures?
Admittedly, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I highly doubt that the pilots fell asleep, but I would imagine it was probably some kind of issue. I don't know.
Yeah, like what else would it have been, right?
Yeah. So there's that. There was another one last Monday, a Chilean flight that all of a sudden nosedived in the air for no reason and then straightened out, and 50 people got hurt, bust their heads open. There was people like laid out getting like...
Was that the video you sent me?
No. I sent you a video of another MAX flight that the co-pilot straight up comes over the airways and starts explaining to people how to brace for impact.
Yeah, I seen that.
How to put your seatbelt on, put your head like near your... It was like some old 1912 bomb drill.
None of those things will save you in a plane crash. Not a single one. They said one of them was like, put your wrist over wrist on top of the chair, right? On the chair in front of you, and then put your forehead against your wrist like this. What? The other guys who were in, they said, oh, if you're in row 1 through 4, we got another thing for you. Don't do the wrist thing. They said, grab both your hands underneath your legs, right? Like this, which I'm decently flexible, and I can't really even do this well. I can only imagine like how like an older man, like in first class. And then they said, put your head between your legs. And I was like, oh, this is a fucking joke. And it wasn't. And then you start hearing them over the loudspeaker, brace, brace, brace. I'm like, I don't know.
You know the most important component of that, in my opinion?
What?
In terms of like trying to keep everybody calm, was the brainwashing repetitive words. You notice how they kept saying, brace, brace, brace. They were trying to engage your brain and listening so that people wouldn't panic. Because none of that shit is going to save you. The plane is crashing. The plane is crashing. I don't care if you brace your ass over your mouth. I don't care what kind of way you contort your body. The plane is crashing.
Yeah, they might as well say, everybody quick, lick your elbow.
Exactly.
Lick your elbow.
Whoever licks your elbow first, you survive.
Yeah.
Like, no. Everybody's dead. Like, you're not going to come on with that.
You're not an Argentinian soccer team.
No.
This isn't the story that's going to be written. But you know what? Saying that, I wonder if I've ever flown on these planes and been perfectly fine.
I mean, it's very possible you have, but just, knowing this is concerning. I mean, the same way that if you had a car that was recalled because the brakes don't work, You're like, you'd like to know that.
Yeah, but I wonder how
You know what I'm saying?
concerning this is. Like, I wonder if I'm always skeptical of like the stuff we get fed, and I wonder if this is like as concerning as it's being presented.
I mean, this is a very high revenue generating company.
Yeah. Oh, they're huge. Especially,
Yeah.
I think they're like if you look at like the price. You ever seen the price of Boeing stock?
No, not recently. No, is it high?
I'm pretty sure it's very high. Spaz can
Okay.
tell us, but I'm pretty sure Boeing is like one of those like big publicly traded companies.
Yeah. See, the manager that I was explaining that got off the plane. Now that he works for this other company and he oversees kind of safety and investigates this kind of or surveys it independently, he was saying that the CEO of the company, it was a big deal when he would come down to the production plant. He was up in Virginia in an office, like an executive suite. Meanwhile, the production facility was in South Carolina. So when he would show up, it was so rare that he would come there. It was like royalty was coming. So everybody be on their best behavior, like, and it's, he said that more so he was more wrapped up in meetings about the stock price in Virginia than he was about the production and the safety of passengers in South Carolina. I was kind of, but again, that was an opinion. That wasn't like a factual statement. That was what he felt about it. But go ahead. What do you got?
No, Spaz just said, to be fair, and this is another thing I was going to say. This is to the comment where you said that the employees said that they would never fly on that plane. And we had this conversation earlier where you said that I said, yeah, but that's like everybody who works at every company. Spaz just said, to be fair, I said the same thing about eating McDonald's when I worked there. I still eat McNuggies. And then he referred back to the current stock price is $180 a share, and but it peaked at $440. So I guess it must be down right now. I don't know when it was at $440, but that is a true statement. It's difficult to ask people. Even you go to like you could go to a hospital and ask the employees at like a good hospital, hey, would you bring your family here? And they'd be like, no, I know this place. You could go anywhere, and like people usually, because they work there, they're so intimate with it. They know all the things they do bad. They know all they know they're checking door clearances with credit cards.
Yeah, that's the exact thing.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So they know all the shortcuts they're taking.
Yeah.
But the big kind of curveball in this situation, or not curveball, but to me, like the kind of final fact that leads me to believe that this story possibly has weight or holds water, is the whistleblower, Mr. John Barnett, that came out with a lot of this stuff. He had been retired. He worked there for 30 years, involved in like safety and stuff like that. So after this, he was found dead in his truck with a self-inflicted gunshot wound in South Carolina.
Self-inflicted gunshot wound to the back of his head?
To his head. I don't know exactly where it was, but just the timing was weird. He was already retired. He was... he's kind of out of the field. He did have, prior to all this, he had a pending some kind of lawsuit against Boeing for some kind of retaliation or something like that for him bringing these things to light. And then they retaliated against him. They probably gave him that deal, kind of pushed him out, made him retire, something like that. I don't know. I don't know the details of that part. But he was suing them for some kind of retaliation. And then he comes out with this, and then they, they find him this way in his truck in South Carolina. So I'm like, just a lot of weird things. I mean, tires falling off the plane, but that's not really Boeing. That's the maintenance guys. You know what I mean? Somebody didn't use the right impact gun to put the wheel on. So that, I wouldn't chalk that up to them. That's like negligent repair.
Yeah, and not only that, but like, I wonder, does the FAA, I'm sure they do have like a pre-inspection before these things are going into production. Like there needs to be, I'm sure there is, like some kind of, like you can't, before you could drive a car, it goes through an inspection. It has to meet certain criteria. Like I'm sure that the planes go through a similar process. Now, they can't check every screw on every door, but I'm sure there's like a safety inspection. Maybe things need to change from that perspective in order to like, make these companies more responsible for what they need to do. Soap as lubricant is crazy on like mechanical things because if something needs lubricant, right? Usually you would use like a grease or oil, but soap, like detergent, like eats away at grease and oil. So it's like, man, that thing's gonna break soon, right? Like soap isn't gonna be there forever. It's gonna be metal and dry metal. That's crazy. But I have seen soap used as a lubricant back in my day. Back in the day when I used to work with my uncle. He was an electrician. I used to work for my uncle. He was an electrician. And when we used to pull wire, he would I remember one time we didn't have anything, and he was like, "Go to the supermarket and get me some soap." And we just put like soap on the wire and like pulled it through the pipes. Not the same as like building an airplane.
That's what they call it now, soap on a wire.
So yeah, that's why soap on the wire. Yeah, not enough spit in the wire. I'm glad we got into that into the Boeing conversation.
Yeah, man.
We can move on to our next topic of discussion.